there. Do you need that on to make sure we're good?
Just go in and do the 5-finger discount. Just
no,
be
no,
like,
no. You just go and alleviate any problems of overstock. You know, when you get overstocked.
That's a great way of putting it. I like
it's like you have to kill deer because if there's too many deer,
you see, officer.
Problems,
you see,
right?
officer. I was helping the company alleviate their problems of overstocking.
Overstocked broken shit.
Now
They had too much broken shit, so I alleviated them of 1 or 2 broken items which I was able to repair.
Okay, I see your point. You're innocent, but innocent for sure.
You know, because you can always take it back. You're just borrowing it. It's not like,
That's another segment of Terry's advice.
Well, I'm not giving any advice here. Don't get me wrong.
Terry's
I'm just saying,
anecdotes.
I'm just saying.
Terry's anecdotes. I'm just saying. Terry's just saying. That's how we're starting the podcast here. Episode twat. Did you say?
Trois.
I have my good buddy and colleague Terry Lowe here, a fellow cameraman operator in various sports scenarios in this city of Toronto.
Douchebag.
We won't mention the teams, but there's a basketball and hockey professional teams in Toronto. We won't mention.
Don't forget lacrosse.
Yeah, whatever. So Terry's quite an extraordinary dude and camera operator, and he's been all over the world, kidnapped, shot at, been tasered?
No, but I've been shot at with rubber bullets and whatnot.
Okay. Where do you want to start? That's pretty vague, eh?
That's a good question.
Where do you want to start?
Where do I want to start? Oh, fuck. I don't know, man.
All right. Let's talk about, we get right into, what did
traveling. We were just on the roof speaking of Alex's roof. He had a nice place to hang out.
Having some roofies.
But don't come here. The traveling, unplugging your life and just
getting out of the biz.
Well, not just getting out of the biz, really. It's about just getting out of what holds you back in life. People, everybody, we live down here in Queens Quay.
Downtown
I don't
Toronto.
any longer because I've unplugged and lived basically in
recently
a car down
lived
by the river.
in. Yes. Yeah. Terry's a recent resident of Queens Quay. We're talking about downtown Toronto, Ontario, Canada.
Yeah, but it was affordable at one point, and now all these condos popping up. It's become. This was the oldest one. It cost nothing to buy it back then. It was like $100,000. So if you rented one, it was affordable. Now
back then was like 1980.
Well, that's when this was built in 1985.
Yeah.
So but even then, when I moved in 2009, I was paying a reasonable rent, affordable, that I could be a one-person living down here. Anyway, getting away from that, it's like we get entrapped into this. You live your life to pay bills.
Yeah.
And then you save to maybe go to a all-inclusive or something where you feel comfortable, and you don't really step outside of anything. Your comfortability becomes gilded towers, right?
Yeah.
But that's a huge cost. And when you start looking different ways to travel and just unplugging and going out there, you find that you can live in a country like India for months for $1,000 or.
So when did you get? So when you're in the state of mind now. So when did you first become in the state of mind? Because you came here to Toronto, looking for different professions.
I came here to be an actor in 1985.
So what was your travel spawn prior to that? Like what were
None. I grew up in Trenton, Ontario. That's right. Big.
So that was your. So it was like your trip to the big city, and you're gonna be an actor.
Well, actually, 2 weeks before I moved away from home forever, my best friend was hit by a truck and killed, and I carried his coffin on my 20th birthday. I was given this Timex digital watch
that you're still wearing right now.
I'm wearing right now, 32 years later.
It's still ticking.
And it has been with me through thick, thin,
It's got a couple of nicks on it.
It's got some nicks, but
it's pretty faded. It's got character. I'll say character.
It's got character.
It's definitely character.
It's got character.
That's that.
But okay, so this all happens, and then I leave home forever, and then did a college thing. I came here to be an actor, and it was 1980s. There wasn't much going on with my personality. I just felt that it was best that I not deal with agents, and maybe perhaps I should be behind the camera, and kind of walked away from that.
What brought that on? What was that notion?
It was to do with audition. Well, I actually got a part on Police Academy 3.
Get out. Get the hell out.
I did, and I lost
I'm
it the same
finding more
day.
things about you, Terry.
And I lost it in the same day. It was a speaking role.
No way.
They told me they like you for this part, and they're going to call you tomorrow. Don't be on the phone. So I went home. I told my 2 roommates what was going on, and one roommate decided that being on the phone all night was probably the best thing for him to do, to watch TV and talk to his girlfriend in his bedroom.
Get the fuck out.
Yeah. So I called my agent and said, I thought you said, and he said, we tried to call you. We tried to call you all day, and your phone was busy the whole day. We told you not to be on the phone. So they pretty much blackballed me, and I realized, my roommate incidentally moved out that night. I don't know why, but he was...
Was it a forced eviction?
I don't know where he went, but he left there that night, and
I would have been terrified of.
I decided maybe that's not my plan of attack. So anyway,
sorry, do you mind if I ask you what the role was for? Well,
no, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it certainly would have been Bobcat. Wouldn't have been Bobcat Goldways, but it might have been one of his crew. I would have loved to have been on his crew. That would have been so much fun. Just unplugging and, all right, I get to be wacky.
Oh, that'd be so fucking amazing.
Yeah, it would have been totally cool. But anyway, so I went to college and wasted my time, but met some cool people. And for a while there, most of the people I worked with in the industry were all people from my class. The class was a good year, and we went to Seneca College, and we all, whatever.
Seneca being in Toronto?
Yes.
Yes.
And then when I got out, I worked in advertising for 10 years. Yes, that was.
How was that? How did you get into that?
Because it was the first job offered to me.
Okay, I understand that. I get that. Yeah.
And I could pay off my student loan, and
hence working in television.
But it was a great experience, because I worked for Leo Burnett Advertising, which ended up being one of the largest producers of lions for, what do you call it, the festival over in France there.
Oh, Cannes.
Cannes.
The Cannes.
The Cannes
Festival.
Yes.
I have a friend who shoots there.
Yeah, so they won a lot of lions and stuff. They were doing good stuff.
Yeah.
And it was actually, for me, although I hate advertising, I mute commercials whenever they're on, it was a great experience in life in general, right? Because you learn how to put things together, what works, how people think, right?
Yeah.
And then once I left there, well, I was asked to leave. It wasn't really
politely, or is it?
Yeah.
Was it on a Friday?
It wasn't just me. Let's just say it was an entire creative department.
Was it on a Friday afternoon at 3:00? Did they ask
it was probably a Tuesday at about 1. But I stuck around for a while.
Good for you.
I said goodbye to everyone, and went and chatted to the point where my boss came and said, "You're supposed to leave now."
Very cordial. You are very cordial.
Yeah. Well, I had an argument with my boss at one point where it was decided that we both probably wouldn't work together very well, which is okay, because from there I went up to Iqaluit, which is now the capital of what is now Nunavut. At the time when I arrived, it was still
the territories in Canada.
That's correct. There used to be 2 territories in Canada, which was the Yukon Territory and the Northwest Territories. And the Inuit, through passive protesting, were able to convince the Canadian government to give them their own land. And I think in the end, the government just said, it's snow and ice, just give it to them, right?
Yeah.
And so I got to be, I was lucky enough to be hired to be a part of that, and I got to work with the Inuit for the whole beginning of Nunavut. And it's such an amazing, to be with them, one of them. I mean, I was the minority.
Were you a videographer then, or were you?
Yeah. Well, actually, I was hired to be a producer.
Okay.
But I ended up doing some camera work and stuff as well, because just the way things happen up there, if there's a storm or if someone's sick, the children would come first, right? So
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
able to do stuff on my own, which was great because I got to meet some really cool people. I have a friend that I met up there that works with CBC, Paul Borkwood, and he's down here now. And I met a lot of great people through that. And just the experience of being part of that, to be standing on the top of the world in the largest parcel of land ever given peacefully, much less to indigenous peoples, that is, wow.
Anywhere
Yeah.
in the world.
In ever in history,
Yeah,
peacefully given. Like, it's huge.
Oh, Canada.
Northwest Territories became very tiny.
Yeah.
Nunavut, it's all the islands in the Hudson's Bay. Like, it's huge that was given to the Inuit.
It's almost half the country. If you look at it, really.
It's big.
It's pretty much half the country
Yeah,
if you add it all up mass-wise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Square kilometers.
Yeah.
The great thing is that the government thought that it was really just snow and ice. It turned out to be snow, ice, diamonds, and
A lot of shit.
yeah.
What's the one, David? It starts with David O's? It's a real big, huge mine way up in.
Oh, it's probably up in Arctic Bay.
Yeah.
On the top of Baffin
It's one of the
Island.
biggest mines for diamonds or something.
Oh, yeah. I know there's a lot of mining up in Arctic Bay.
Yeah,
So it
yeah.
could be up there.
It's pretty
Which is up at the top
famous
of Baffin Island.
aerial hole.
Yeah, but the thing about that, let's get into the tourism issue or the not just tourism, but the issues with Nunavut. Like, it's you're looking at over $10 to buy a liter of milk.
Yeah, so
Because-
everything's kind of like the Yukon,
they're held hostage.
Yukon price.
Well, no, the Yukon isn't as bad because now you.
I
have
meant to say like Gold Rush Yukon
yes,
price.
yes.
That's
But
what I
now
meant to say.
what's happened is that First Air holds. They're the only airline allowed to fly into Iqaluit, so it costs. If you want to fly to Yellowknife or to Whitehorse, you can take Air Canada, you can take WestJet, you have a choice. So your flights are now, there's competition. Well, in Nunavut, that's not the case. So to fly, like, you can fly from Toronto to Whitehorse on WestJet for, say, between $600 and $800 probably, or maybe
So what's that
$900.
distance? What's that Toronto to Whitehorse?
That's
Is that
what-
like going to
Vancouver, at least.
Vancouver.
So you're
So that's
looking at
like
5
5 hours.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
So if you want to go to Iqaluit, you have to fly to Ottawa or Montreal, and it's somewhere between $1,300 and $1,500.
Whoa.
That's just to get to Iqaluit. Now, if you want to go up to Arctic Bay, which is at the top of Baffin Island, or to Pond Inlet, which is across the water strait, it's another $1,500.
So it's
I
like
could be
going to-
wrong, but it's within $200.
It's like flying to Australia.
More. It's twice as much as flying to
So
Australia.
it's more to fly to there in your own country.
Yeah, and the thing is, the flight to Iqaluit is about 2.5 hours.
Folks, I just want everybody to know this, that the pain that we suffer as travelers in Canada, the prices, the distance.
That's government.
It's just the
government
country's so
needs to-
massive, it's so big.
Government needs to shut that shit down. They
Yeah.
need to say, let's open it up. I mean, how can anybody...
Oh, it's a monopoly. It's just monopolies, right?
How can you have tourists go up there when it's that cost? You can't even afford to get there.
Yeah.
Someone's going to go, well, I'm going to go to Australia instead of going up there. So the people... It's just a shame. It's a shame.
Well, there's a new one that just opened up. Is called Swoop.
Yeah, but that's still with WestJet.
Still
is it
with
not?
WestJet,
Yeah, they're not
right?
allowed in. It's
Yeah.
First Air. They hold it ransom.
So
And
that's
you could be flying with chickens and milk on your flight. Like, there's a wall in front of you. There's 20 people in the plane, and yet there's a wall in front of you.
That's the same kind of like as the telecommunication companies here. You got to ride on their lines. You got to if you want to be a.
I was liking it when it was looking like the American companies were going to be able to use our lines. Bell, Rogers, and TELUS didn't care for it very much, but that's because together they just rob you and hold you by the satchel.
The old three-way.
Yeah.
The old
it's like,
three
yeah.
fingers up
Yeah.
the old anus.
Yeah. Hi, how you doing?
Yeah. Americans, you
here's
don't
a
know
banana,
how lucky
GFY.
you have it with telecommunication prices, and we're kind of held hostage here in Canada with 3 providers across the whole fucking country.
That's silly.
Anyway, so we got off topic there. We were just talking about
Unplugging and
unplugging, and just like getting out of the matrix. So we both work as camera operators, and it's kind of this topic has been rolling around in my mind, and just speaking with all of our colleagues and speaking with other people like that, about the mainstream of television, of live television and stuff like that, and how everything's changing. You can do anything live from any location.
Technology's
Broadcast
so small.
it on.
Look at this.
Yeah, we're doing this on a H5. We could be on a beach right now.
Exactly.
Doing this anywhere. This is the studio is not concrete anymore.
You are the studio now.
You are the studio. You can bring your talent and your equipment wherever you need to, anywhere in the world. And we were just discussing on the roof with another
Randy
guy that lives in the building here, and he's recently unplugged and he's gone to Southeast Asia and did some drone work, and we're just talking about that, how proficient and almost easier it is with, there's so many people working in this business, especially in Toronto. We're a huge media conglomerate and a lot of competition for the same jobs. You can go all around the world with your gear and do a lot of stuff, not only for yourself financially, but also to help provide for a lot of third world countries that don't have the resources or
you can't be afraid. You just gotta get out there.
The training of professional camera operators. You know what I mean?
You just gotta get out there. You gotta just jump on it and go, right? You can't. You gotta get out of your comfort zone. I a lot of times now when I travel, I rent a car that has big enough compartment that I can put the seats down. I have a blow up mattress of some kind and a sleeping bag maybe, and that's how I get around. I live in the car, and it costs hardly anything. I mean, your biggest expense is hotels and travel, and if you can limit it all down to just getting a car and camping basically, or sleeping in the car, depends where you are. I mean, I'm not advising Afghanistan, Pakistan, places like that to
I'm
be.
just gonna sleep out here in the
I'm
desert.
just gonna drive around and live in a car.
Yeah,
no,
I'm
it's
gonna
of
pull over
course.
on the side of the road here in Kabul. And just like,
oh, this looks like a nice spot, nice little cave here. But places like Scotland, Ireland, there's so many places in the world that you can just unplug and go and just not worry so much about the money. And if there's worse things in life than taking out a loan to explore something you've always wanted to do. Is it better that you take a loan out to pay for bills or something? Well, how about you just unplug first, and then figure out maybe I don't want to do that anymore.
See where it leads you.
Well, when you think of your expenses here, what are you working for? You work
to live here.
Work. You work to pay bills.
You work to live here.
You work to live.
Yeah.
You work to pay bills. And in the end, if you can save some money, great.
Yeah.
But in the end, like you'll go out and have some beers here and there, and that's just so you don't go insane and go up on the roof and go woohoo and jump.
A little shining moment. Yeah.
I'm good. I think I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Well, that's why people do that, I think.
Well, like take Randy, what he was talking about. He was let go from a multimedia company.
Yeah.
And they just fired him one day. He was happy. He was doing stuff, and one day he got the message that he was no longer required.
That forces you to make those changes.
Well, it didn't. It's like this is what he's doing is 2 years later.
Yeah.
So he's lived 2 years going, what the...
He's evaluated.
Well, he's evaluating himself.
Yeah.
And that's what happens when you get tossed aside. You evaluate yourself of your worth. And the thing is, if you're looking at the people beside you here, what are you comparing yourself to?
Yeah.
Are you comparing yourself to them, or are you comparing yourself to where you want to be and what you want to do? In most cases, it's what's around you, what you think you have to do. Once you unplug and you take the trip that they just took, where they were gone for 6 months, him and his wife.
Yeah.
They unplugged and said, you know what? We need this mental health, and they went and they did it, and now they're not coming back.
Now all the other opportunities and
what opens up.
What exactly? So let's we're rounding up to 20 here. Let's take a break.
Brought to you by beer. Beer.
What's that Homer said? Hey there, folks. Focused here. Thank you very much for listening to the Focus Podcast with Terry Lowe. You can check all the other Focus podcasts out on SoundCloud/Focus Rap and on YouTube under the same title. If you want to check out Focus videos and music and tour dates, you can go on to Facebook, Focus Rap, SoundCloud, Focus Rap, YouTube, Focus Rap, and all the other social media sites, including Instagram and Twitter. Check us out. Focus Rap all over the board. Back to the podcast.
Should I have it closer to my mouth? I've been
No,
holding
it's
it down
perfect.
Here. Is this okay here?
It's perfect.
Because if I talk loud, if I laugh or something,
No, it's
where do you
perfect.
want it to sit?
Actually, the
You
room
want it
is
to sit right about there.
no. It's like 12 is good. 12 is pretty good.
Yeah. Okay. So that's what
12 and 6. That's what I've been told by my audio people. So we're back with Terry Lowe.
Recording?
Yeah, we're recording now.
You already,
Yeah,
bastard.
sneaky-
You bastard.
Sneaky bastard.
Yeah, you bastard.
You bastard.
Yeah, I was looking at it, reading that, and talking like an idiot.
Sneaky guy. That's what you get when you hang around enough engineers and.
Yeah, I didn't look at the record button.
I've done
I'm an
that.
idiot.
I've been the I've been the
idiot.
victim of that because
Yeah.
engineers always try to get your ad lib stuff all the time when you're doing music and stuff like that, and they never want to throw it away. That's the one thing. I'm meticulous with my takes, and I was just like, no, that's garbage. Throw it away. And a lot of the engineers are like, no, keep it. Let's work with it. Let's mold around it. I'm like,
I
no,
hold
it's
on to
garbage.
things. I hold on to things.
I know it sucks.
Yeah, but you never know when you want to use it.
Anyway, so let's pick up back where you were at. You're way up northern
Arctic.
Canada. In the Arctic. You know my favorite character of Mike Myers ever was what's the
Scottish Dad?
other than that, what's the movie when the American team wins the gold medal, the hockey one?
Miracle?
Miracle. Yeah. And he's like, he goes up to the Arctic. He's like some coach or some scout.
Doesn't he? Yeah,
And he
yeah.
lands in a plane and he comes out and he goes, you know where you can get a good rub and a tug around here? He just, like, I think they landed in Nunavut or something. And he's just like, and he had, it was this whole walk. It was like a big, long shot. And he just struts up. And it's like, this character is so flamboyant. I'm like, I wonder what he's going to say. And he just leans in. He's like, you know you can get a good rub and a tug around here.
Just so you know, you have to say Nunavut.
Nunavut.
Because if you say it wrong,
I'll get it.
Nunavut means our land. There's a way you can say it where it means shit.
Okay.
And there's a
I
way
had
you
no
can
idea.
say it.
I'm ignorant, folks.
Well, talk about ignorance. I'm working for a company up there that's out of Ottawa. I don't mean to embarrass anybody, but
it's
we were
another
given-
moment of white man's ignorance, folks.
well, it was a case of just nobody ran it by people that could speak the language because they gave us all coats, which I still have mine. I've never worn it. I have some things from up there that I've never touched, never worn, never used because it was from that day. And anyway, we were given crew coats that basically said Nunavut on the back.
Oh, wow.
And I said basically for a reason because it
Yeah.
didn't. It said Nunavut, which
Yeah.
means nobody's land.
Oh.
So they were giving crew coats to all the Inuit, and they looked at it and said, "What the hell's this? What is this? This is Nunavut. This is nobody's land. You spelt it wrong."
Whoa.
But they
innocent mistake.
whatever.
so
It's
innocent,
definitely a keepsake.
Yeah.
And it's pristine. It's never been worn. It's always been kept in its. Well, now it's in a storage container with the rest of my personal possessions because that's where they live.
I had a moment like that in Budapest. First night there, I went to a music club to play open mic, and I met a couple of nice Americans from California, and bought me a drink, and I went to cheers them, and they instantly put my arm down and said, "Nope, not in Budapest." And I was like,
Oh.
"Why?" He goes, "Well, the Austrian invasion, when they came and murdered and debaucherated everybody, and they cheersed it after for 2 weeks straight. They had a straight drinking fest after they murdered and slaughtered everybody." I was like, "Oh, okay, good to know. Thanks."
So what do you do?
Nobody cheers us. You just
just
like
gotta
a
give a
little
nod,
nod.
little
Yeah, there's
nod
like a
and
nod, and then there's
Get
like
pissed?
yeah, and you get
Or
pissed.
as they say in Scotland, get
Well,
pissed.
Yeah, and you just buy somebody else a beer, and these things that you're like so used to in countries, and
Yeah.
you have no idea. And also, it's like the tipping thing too. You're not supposed to show it. you're supposed to put it under like a coaster or something and just kind of hide the tip. And
I'm cool with that. I like that.
Yeah.
Handshake.
Yeah. Yeah.
The old
little
handshake.
Yeah.
Grip and shake.
The old let me in the front door. Here's say hello to
Hey, how you doing?
How you doing, little C?
Hey.
The old president wants to say hello to you.
Hey. Frankie says, hey.
It's like that. I love that one shot on Goodfellas when he goes with his girl to the club
Through the
restaurant. That one steady cam shot.
The one where he goes through the back way.
Yeah,
like
the back way through the kitchen, and it's like shakes.
Because there's a front door one too, isn't there?
And yeah.
Or is it the same one? I can't remember.
I think it's the same one. It's like
I'm old and my brain doesn't work very good anymore for
it doesn't
memory.
matter.
I only need to remember where I'm going.
That's why we're recording shit.
Exactly. Where I've been, there's probably cameras that have caught that bad stuff. Where I'm going, I need to remember because
where I'm going.
I don't use GPS. I use maps.
So let's get back to that. Where Terry Lowe's been? We were in up north in Canada there.
Nunavut. Proper.
Yes. Thank you very much. And so what happened then? What happens then?
Well, then I came back here.
Toronto.
And Toronto, because there's only one T in Toronto.
Yeah.
And I was in a relationship that she didn't really think that it was probably the best way to go. And anyway, she went her way and I went mine. And then I basically ended up doing the show thing, doing like corporate shows as a camera guy.
Yeah. Corporate world.
Yeah, pretty much. I was ready to step into a meat grinder.
Wow.
Industrial sized meat grinder. I was ready to walk in because, I'm really not for me. My attitude doesn't really work out.
Yeah.
You may be right, but I don't think so.
Judging the years I've known you and seeing you in that environment.
Well, I'm gonna talk about this one because the company of Nestle, the company Nestle. I'm mentioning a company named Nestle.
I've mentioned it in my lyrics.
Yeah. I might have said Nestle once.
Said something.
So I'm shooting a gig for Nestle, and I'm on a riser that's about 5 feet in the air, and there's not really any way for me to get down. So I step on a chair, and the only way to get down, and as I do, the chair goes, and I have nothing to grab onto, so I'm scraping on the wall trying to stay, and then I fell backwards.
So it folds like the chair.
No. It was like a chair that you would have in any ballroom.
Yeah,
right? Hard framed chair.
Yeah.
So I fell back and landed on another 2 chairs on my back in the ribs. So going pretty good. Yeah. Falling from 5 feet onto the chair. And then I fell. I kind of my fatness rolled me over and momentum threw me on the ground.
So saved.
Yeah. And I tried to get up and immediately realized that wasn't going to happen because something went.
You're just like fuck.
Yeah. Well, no, I just went. I made a sound like
a pterodactyl sound.
Yeah. And I look over, and here's the president of Nestle, and one of his fledgling.
Is that the CEO said that every clean drinking water doesn't?
Oh, I don't know. He's an idiot. Whoever it was,
people?
I don't know which one it was. I'm not going to poke at them because they're probably all morons.
Anyway,
he looks at me, and he goes, "Do you want me to get you a glass of water?" he do you want me to get you a glass of water? And I went. Can you help? I think I was asking for help.
Yeah.
And him and his dude walked away. I thought they were going to get people to help me. And they come back with coffees, proceed to turn their back on me, and have coffee and leave me. I'm still going
like an injured bird.
Squeaking. And this is my break, right? This is my break. This is day 1 of a 5-day shoot, I mind you.
Jesus, Terry.
So this was a day where I was there all day, so I had to go get something to drink. So went back on my riser, shot the day.
Terry fell off a camera riser, which is like a podium you stand on above with the camera so you can look over the audience. And that's a fall.
I ended up breaking 3 ribs. But I went to a doctor about 3 days later because I was working at the Nestle gig, which I couldn't leave because I was working at Nestle. And anyway, I'm not going to dwell on the Nestle gig where I broke my ribs from negligence. But anyway.
Sponsored by Nestle.
Yeah, this is brought to you by fucking Nestle.
go.
But they
fuck
do have
yourself
good water.
next.
They do get water from Aberfoyle Springs, so
Yeah,
Aberfoyle
sure.
Springs is a good place for water. It
Sure.
is. No, it is. It is. It is. Anyway, fucking Nestle. I digress. So anyway, you really can tell that I really didn't like working in the show world.
No.
That show, and so I started. I said, "Fuck it." I was sitting on. Is it Q Beach in the east?
Yeah.
Yeah, Ashbridges Bay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sitting on a bench down there one day.
Scarborough.
And no, it's not in Scarborough yet. It's Toronto. It's Toronto.
Toronto.
It's downtown Toronto. It's the beaches.
Beaches, the biatches.
And I'm looking out at the lake, and I got nothing, right? I got nothing. I'm self-employed, got nothing, making nothing, eating nothing, living on nothing.
Eating bologna sandwiches.
Maybe if that would be a good day,
That would be a good
right?
day.
That would be a good day.
Yeah.
I wasn't pulling in a lot.
Yeah.
But that's because I was passing a lot of GFY bananas around.
Yeah.
You know, here's a banana. Go fuck
Good
yourself.
for you. Good.
Yeah.
Go
Yeah,
fuck
good for you.
yourself. Good
Yeah,
for
that's
you.
it. Exactly. Here's a
It's
banana
all in
GFY. We'll
perspective.
just say GFY.
Yeah, GFY.
Put it in your own head. So I'm looking out at the lake, and I think that could be the Indian Ocean.
Yeah.
And my bank was trying to give me money, and I'm going, "Are you kidding me? Do you know who I am? Do you know who I am?
Do you know
You're
who I
trying
am?
to give me money? Are you kidding me? Are you insane?" All right. So I decided one day, all right, fuck it. And
Just
I
give
took
it.
a loan, and I said, I'm going to Kenya. And turned out Kenya was a little too hot. And so I went to Tanzania instead.
Okay. Too hot,
And
like too.
Too hot as in
You gotta get
you
killed.
might get shot.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a good,
As
because
a
of where I
videographer?
wanted to go to some really, as a photographer, I was,
A photographer.
I didn't own any video equipment, but I had still equipment.
So
Shooting on
photography.
film though. Shooting on film.
Yeah.
Because it was back in 2001, just after.
Oh, digital wasn't even really a phone. Digital phone.
Not something I
or-
could afford.
No.
And this was
nobody.
right after 9/11, so
Yeah.
nobody was in Africa. And
Oh,
so
nobody was
It was
anywhere.
just myself, one other guy from San Francisco, Jim, and a guide, Bio.
Okay.
But this was I splurged. I went out of Africa camping. We had porters that went ahead of us, set up tents. And
Yeah.
We had a cook that cooked out of an ammo box and made
Wow.
just phenomenal 5-star meals that we ate
Wow.
with the sound of lions at night. Just
Wow.
it was just amazing. And I'm a Leo, and you
Yeah.
can see on my hand here I have these scars, and they were from an African lion named Hope, who put my hand in her mouth in in an animal sanctuary here in Toronto.
That was a
proceeded-
shoot you did, right? Or was that
Yeah,
a shoot you
I
did?
volunteered. I went, and it was when I was in college.
Yeah.
We had to do a slideshow because it was
Yeah,
film. And so I got our group and we went to this place, and I ended up getting my hand almost ripped off by this lion named Hope. Hope. And she just looked me in the eye, and I thought she was going to bite my fingers off, and she just let go. But when she pulled her claws were out, and when she pulled away, she left this very distinctive scars on my hand.
Wow.
But for me, that's my left hand. I'm a Leo. I've
Yeah.
been marked by a lion. And so on this trip into Africa, I really wanted to see lions.
Yeah.
And so early on, I'm in Tarangire Park in Tanzania, which is it's on the way towards Ngorongoro Crater and towards the Serengeti. And I'm outside my tent brushing my teeth, and there's a bush about maybe 30 meters away, and I hear this really low rumble sort of. I didn't make it very well, but I said to the guy sleeping beside me in the other tent, "Jim, did you hear that? It sounds like an elephant." He said, "Yeah, it sounds close." And then we had this Maasai guard who was staying in our camp making, you have to have someone there to chase away lions, right?
Yeah.
And his name was Matroni, and he comes running. He runs up beside me, and he points at the bush, and he goes, "Simba," meaning lion.
Yeah.
And he looks at me, and he kind of takes his kind of like, fuck. You see him just going, fuck.
Oh, I gotta work tonight.
This fucking asshole. He wants me to go deal with this shit, right?
Oh, fuck.
And so he starts walking out, and he was trying to teach me Swahili.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
He was
yeah.
teaching me Swahili so he could talk to me. Cause
Yeah.
we were spending time together, and he was really cool, and it was so much fun. I wanted
Shoot
to
the
know.
shit,
So he was
yeah.
teaching me shit, right?
Yeah.
And he starts walking out, and in Swahili, I said, "Don't worry about it, man. Like, Hapana, no, I'm okay. I'm not worried, right?" And he looked at me, and he just walked away, right? And that was the coolest thing ever. He just looked at me and went, waved his hand up, and walked away.
You didn't even need those translations.
I finished brushing my teeth and knew that in my heart, that's so fucking cool.
Yeah.
To me, that could have been hope right there. Because if a lion wants, they're not going to let you know they're there. They're going to take it.
No, you're in their
I could
territory.
just be a moron and just got lucky. But
yeah,
from that point on, I saw lions every day, and it opened my heart to just immense things. And since there was nobody with us, we went out and met some tribes, the Toga and Hadzabe.
Wow.
And when I went back this summer, I went back to the tribes and was able to, because now Bio is building a hospital there.
Reconnect with people?
Yeah, I went and met
nice.
with the chiefs, and I went to this one Datoga place, one village, and I saw a woman that I'd photographed 14 years ago.
Wow.
And she recognized me.
No
I
way.
recognized her because she has distinct scars on her face, and it was just, that was cool.
That's really cool.
But they're building a hospital there now.
Yeah.
So that's why I went back last summer, was to provide the media and see if I can help. And unfortunately, me being back here, I thought there was things I could do, but it's really hard to raise money, right?
Yeah. Well, let's go back. So you went to Kenya.
Well, I went to Tanzania, and then after I finished my camping, I went to meet. I had been doing editing for an NGO.
So you got out of advertising and up at this point.
I got asked to leave advertising.
And then you got out of the corporate stuff.
I was invited to leave advertising, so that's when I went up north.
The kind invitation.
Yeah, it was good. They gave me a bag of money and
cordial.
Said, yeah, but you don't come to work no more.
Nice.
Well, yeah, sure, I'm good.
Talk to you later.
Yeah, thanks for the bag.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Get your shoebox.
But yeah, so once I did this trip, I had been doing editing for one of the bigger NGOs in Canada.
Yeah.
That do sponsorship type programs. And so when I said I was going to Tanzania, they said, "Oh, well, we just opened a project there. Would you mind shooting for us while you're there?" And I went, "Yeah, sure. I've thrown the rabbit down the hole, so sure, why not? I'll take a couple of deals." Although in hindsight, I regret doing that kind of stuff, but
whatever.
Well, that's taking money. Anyway, I'm not going to go there right now. So I left the West and went to Dar es Salaam and proceeded to get myself kidnapped.
Which is where? Sorry.
Dar es Salaam is the east coast of Tanzania.
Okay.
It's the capital.
All right.
And I was off a bus on a Friday night, went for a walk, got lost like a moron, and then realized, okay, it's time to get in a cab and get home. And then the next morning I went for a walk and ended up getting grabbed by the police, taken for a ride.
So what happened? What the hell happened?
Well, I knew when I was leaving the next day, it's like, okay, keep your shit together and don't be a fucking idiot. You're meeting your client at lunch, right? Go for a nice walk.
What do you mean don't be an idiot? Just like don't go anywhere out of the normal?
I did say the night before I went for a walk and got lost.
Okay, yeah. So don't.
They say don't walk down a dark street in Africa at night.
By yourself, yeah.
Yeah, well, every street in Africa is dark at night, so don't go anywhere, right?
Stay home at night.
So the next day I went, you got lucky last night.
Yeah.
Right? I knew my guide Bio had told me I learned enough Swahili that I could get by in a short conversation.
Yeah.
Which actually works in my favor because you're less likely to get picked on because they don't know what you know or who you know.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
They leave you alone.
Absolutely.
But the thing that he said to remember is mumbo poa.
What does that mean?
I'm cool.
Okay.
I'm cool.
Yeah.
I'm cool. Leave me alone. I'm cool.
Yeah.
So that's what got me away the night before.
That's a really good phrase to know in any language.
Mumbo poa. Swahili for
Mumbo poa.
I'm good, man. Leave me the fuck alone.
In case anybody's in Tanzania.
Mumbo poa.
There you go. I'm cool.
I'm cool, man. I'm good. I just leave me
I'm
the
just
fuck alone,
chilling,
please.
dude.
Yeah, leave me alone.
Just pass it
Yeah,
by.
well, that didn't work out for me the next day.
No.
I went out for a walk in the morning, and I was told when I left the hotel, do not go to this beach, which, thank you, because if you go there, they'll kill you for this. Remember, we digress back to this watch
the
that's 32 years
Casio.
old. No, Timex.
Sorry, my bad.
But yeah, they'll cut your arm off for that watch.
Just for that.
They said they don't care.
Wow.
kept that in mind and just stayed to, markets and moving around. And I knew I was being followed, and people would come up, try to approach, and I thought I was working it. And then another dude that was just persistent. Finally, I ditched him. I thought it was all good. I'm leaning up against a wall having a Coke, and here comes Fuckstick. And I gave him a couple of shillings. It was like, 50 cents. Just leave me alone. And I'm wearing cargo pants, and he puts his hand in my pocket and says,
Yeah.
There's a joint for you. Right? And it's like, oh, fuck. Whatever. I just figure I'll wait till he's gone, get rid of it, and I'm good to go, right? Like, you would never touch something like that, right? You would never be stupid enough to do something like that.
I don't want the street fucking
if
joints.
someone gives you shit like that on the street, do not.
There's a reason.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know what's in it for one, and just
don't
Don't
even buy
do it.
pre-rolled shit.
Don't even let them put it in your pocket. Whatever.
Don't even buy pre-rolled shit.
Because it turns out that it was being watched and
set up.
Well, it was a setup. Yeah, I mean, I didn't know it at the time, but I'm green, right? This is my first trip.
Yeah.
So I'm set upon by police and a car, and next thing I know, I'm in that car, and I should have just resisted. My head said resist, punchy facey, right?
Yeah.
But my inner self, being from here, said they're police.
You don't know what you're in.
You don't know what you're into.
You have no
right?
what you're in.
Once you're in the car, though, you're in that car.
Yeah,
you're on the ride.
Yeah.
And the first thing I did was say, "This is what because Fuckstick was in the car with me." They put Fuckstick in the car first.
Really?
Yeah.
In the back?
So yeah, like with me, and then cops around me, right? It's because it's right-hand drive.
So
anyway,
he's just a petty dealer.
But at first, I don't know what's going on. I'm watching what's
Or
going
he's
on.
a setup guy.
I'm assessing what's going on in the car now.
Yeah.
But one guy's obviously in control, and we're taking him to the magistrate, and I'm wearing a Discovery Channel T-shirt.
Yeah.
Right? And so I said, "This is what this guy put in my pocket."
Yeah.
He said, "You bought drugs." I said, "No, I did not." You gave him money.
Yeah. No,
right?
I didn't.
It was like, I didn't realize then, but then he said, "We're taking you to the magistrate, and you're going to be arrested and charged with possession of drugs, and the TV cameras are going to be there." And that's when I went, bing. TV cameras are going to be there for a joint. Are you on fucking crack, dude?
My friend.
Yeah. Are you on crack?
My friend.
Yeah. Well, because I'm wearing a Discovery Channel T-shirt, that's when I clicked in. Oh, right. Computer says no. Right. Boop. So then I went, okay. And I know that the magistrate is down that way, right?
Yeah.
So we're going this way, and the car's not stopping.
Yeah.
What is it going to cost me to get out of this car right now?
Yeah.
Without blinking, he said $2,000 American dollars.
Whoa.
And I laughed because it's like,
whoa.
Dude, you grabbed the wrong dude.
You got a broke guy.
Do we need to take a pause?
Nope.
Oh, no. Yeah, you grabbed the wrong dude. I think I said something like that, and he didn't care for that at all. You're not taking this very seriously. It's like, no, I don't think you understand, dude. I got nothing. And the whole time they're trying to grab shit in my pockets, right? And I got nothing.
Lint and shit, right?
Well, I had cash about $60 worth in, so they did get about 60 Canadian
folks,
worth of Tanzanian shillings.
See, your generalization of gringos is not all across the map.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Well, okay, but then I start thinking in my head,
or is this
because I gave them the money they got the money that was in my pocket.
Yeah,
right?
what, like $20 or
No, it was like 60 Canadian, but
which is big for.
Yeah, it was transferred into shillings, which I think this last time it was about 2,000.
So that's
$1 for 2,000 shillings.
It's all right. Yeah.
Good haul for them.
Yeah.
But then it wasn't enough, and I decided I think I need to get out of the car now.
Yeah.
And I'm looking around going, well, I guess it's you, Fuckstick, because I'm going out your door, right?
Yeah.
So I'm ready to give him the what for. I thought, better to hit Fuckstick than a cop, right?
Yeah.
I'm already in the ride. There's no point in assaulting a cop.
Yeah.
Whatever. But then it's like they're going way too fast. There's too many shit on the street. If I go out, I'm going to get grabbed. I'm going to be dragged.
It's going to be like a
I'm
Bond.
dead.
It's going to be like a Bond moment. It's not.
Well, I would have been dead. Yeah. Bond moment is TV. This is reality. You try to go out that door, you don't go out. And if you do, you hit another car.
You're dead.
You're dead.
Yeah.
So I decided, okay, you're in the ride. But then they took me to.
You're not Daniel Craig.
Yeah, you're gonna have a dent in your head when it's all done, right? There's gonna be your hair's not gonna part right. No. There's gonna be a big dent in your head.
And there's no background music.
Yeah. The background music is. It's
more Benny Hill.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of Benny Hill and car backfires, and auto rickshaw go. Right. So then they decide we're at this beach.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
They start to open the doors, and I start to be pushed out into this beach, and I see people coming that are going to cut off my arm and take my shitty watch. And
wow,
that's when I decided, okay, it's time for Bunchy Facey.
Yep,
so that's the moment. That's where the elbows got thrown. A guy got his face I grabbed him maybe by the eyes.
How many people were there? Rushed?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's
five people rushed.
No, from the beach. I don't fucking know. I just looked out and I said, no, that's not going to happen. Any weapons? I don't know. I didn't. Once it became they're getting me out, I'm not getting out. I'm not getting out. It's cop got elbow to the face. Other cop got Mr. Talkie face got grabbed by the eye sockets. And
then how
one
did
of these,
you get out?
Where you grab by the face and just gouge at the eyes.
How'd you get out? Where'd you go? Like, what was your out?
Well, that's... it all happened so quick. That's when I said, okay, I got money in my hotel.
Yeah.
And then, bloop, the doors immediately close.
Okay.
Right? So... then they take me to my hotel, and once the doors closed and we were on our way, it happens so fast that you're not necessarily, if you keep your wits about you, that's the whole point, is you keep your wits. The whole time that shit's happening, I'm sitting back in the seat. I'm keeping my back in the seat so that I can't get stabbed from behind or grabbed from behind. I'm making sure that I'm back to be able to defend myself.
You're aware
so I can move,
yeah,
keeping myself free. But then when I had to move forward to protect myself, I stayed forward. Like I didn't stay back in the seat like this. I stayed, kind of with my elbows on my knees, alert and ready.
You're heightened to all your surroundings.
Well, I was just listening and paying attention to what people are saying. And anyway, we get to the hotel, and I got out of the car, took the license plate. They threatened me. We're police. When I looked at the plate, it was a federal plate. So when I went in, I went to my room, and I just kind of, holy fuck.
What the fuck just happened?
What do I do?
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm still here.
Do I get out of here?
Then I went outside and found a maid, told her, she took me to security. We went, the car had left already, and I just got my room changed, and I went down to the lobby, and the manager of the hotel came up, sat down, 2 beer. He was from South Africa, and he put one down. He said, cheers.
Yeah,
you did the right thing because you're here having this beer with me.
Yeah.
He said, my first day here, we went out at night to go to a club, and we were set upon by the army, put AK-47s in our face, and took our wallets.
What?
So he said, you did the right thing because you were on the ride, and he cheered. And
cheers to that, brother.
Then half an hour later, my client shows up, and within an hour of that, I was in the Embassy of Canada because we were scheduled to have a meeting that I didn't know about.
Wow.
Yeah, and so I'm dressed in, just coming out of the bush clothes and really embarrassed to be there, and they had to they're all in suits, and I'm like, hey, just got kidnapped.
That's fucking
And the funny thing was, she gives me her card and says, if it ever happens again, give me a call.
No way.
Yeah, there wasn't a phone present. I wasn't presented a phone to make that call, but thank you. But thank you to know that I can call you and say they want this, and you're going to hang up on me.
It wasn't a game show where I have an option.
Yeah. Just edit that stuff. Yeah. Edit that stuff out. Yeah. We don't need to hear that.
Oh.
Just,
Yeah.
Did you want to take a break?
Yeah, let's take a break and come back. Part 3. Terry Lowe.
You still want to talk to me? You're fucking kidding.
Hope you're enjoying the Focus Podcast with Terry Lowe. We just want to let you folks know about the Stay Focused tour that is starting July 4th at the legendary Horseshoe Tavern. July 7th, we will be heading up to Aurelia to play at Brownstone Cafe. Hope to see you there. And now the conclusion of the Focus Podcast with Terry Lowe. Yes, sir.
Hi, we're back.
We're back.
Hi, we're back, and thank you for watching and listening and just tuning in. We've been talking about stuff.
And more stuff to come.
Yes.
Stuff paid for. Buy
By
other
you
stuff.
and me and nobody, because there's no pay.
We need to do more ads. We need to do like our own ads, just like some GFY.
Well, that's
Some GFY
Oh,
ads
we no.
to come.
It's a secret.
Anyway, so let's get back on track again. You were talking about India and being all over the place.
We hadn't been to India yet.
Oh, yes.
What we was in Africa.
Africa.
And I had just done the whole kidnapping thing, and
Yeah.
I met with my client, and then here we
Yes,
go.
yes,
And the
yes.
thing was, from there on, it was just a crazy, wild ride. And I started off in Tanzania for a week or something, and met the crew that I was with from the organization, which were cool people. We had a lot of fun. And the thing was, the night I'd been kidnapped. Well, the night before I'd been in a bar, and then the night I got kidnapped, buddy, let's go out. I'm like, I just got kidnapped,
The
dude.
same
Sure about
fucking night?
that? Yeah, and he's like, let's go.
Okay.
So we went back to the same bar that
Nope.
I'd been at the night before, and it was like, no, this is
Oh,
not the
man.
night to be here. Last
No,
night was
no,
the
no.
night. We have to go. Anyway, so we left there and then went to Ethiopia, which
Okay.
was I ended up going out into the field with two dudes from Ethiopia who became, well, one, Isahak. He became a good friend. He was our driver. And it was just him, and Groom was the field person.
Yeah.
And it was, wow. I got a passion for Ethiopia, and when they had the drought and the whole Bob Geldof thing.
Yeah.
And so I always wanted to go there, and to be able to go right to those. I went to a different region, like Lingano and stuff, but the same things were going on, and I really found my heart at that point.
Yeah.
And so after that, the organization liked what I'd shot. We made commercials, and the first commercial I made was from that trip to Ethiopia, and it was all still images with statistics.
So who did you work for? Who paid for your...
Well, it was the NGO. I don't want to mention them just because
Yeah.
we don't need to go there. But
Yeah.
it was a child sponsorship thing, and it was Christian Children's Fund of Canada.
Yeah. Whatever.
And I really believed in what I was doing, and they needed help and money, and so I was doing the editing as well, and then I did the rough voice track, and they said, we like that voice better than the voice we've been using.
Yeah.
Would you mind doing it? And
Yeah, do it all.
I was like, sure. So I did the voice, and it really meant a lot to me, because now I'm shooting the images, I'm putting the statistics, I'm feeling it, I know it, and I'm getting paid. And then they sent me all over the world.
Yeah.
I was in Afghanistan, in the poppy fields in Afghanistan, trying to build safe centers for children, realizing there's no way, there's no how, because the children were getting stolen by the Taliban
Yeah.
and sold on the black market if they didn't meet their quotas. And anyway,
So that's
from
one
there, it was
spot.
Afghanistan, it was South America, Central America. But I was asking questions like, how does this work?
Yeah.
And it wasn't clear enough to me of how sponsorship is.
Who are you asking? Like, who in the organization?
People that Canadians that were with the organization.
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
wasn't getting straight answers on really how things work in that world.
Yeah.
And I really started to feel guilty about getting paid.
Okay, so you saw what was going
it's just-
on around
there's
you,
a
and just
huge
like,
amount of money that is spent in salaries and buildings and rents.
okay,
And then the trickle down effect is when they don't work in countries. They have partners in the countries
that do it for.
that do the work, because they can't operate in the countries. And that's where things like disasters become very shady.
Yeah.
Because now it's become big business in disaster, because these organizations hop all over each other to get there and get that donation dollar. And in most cases, it can't go back to the country because there's political things that restrict that, right?
So they can't go there.
They keep
so they
the
have,
money.
They have
and your
somebody,
money doesn't do anything.
They have somebody there that lives there and represents them. And
they have partners on the ground, but when it comes to disasters, a lot of times these companies just hop in and go, "We're going to help," but they can't.
Yeah.
In most cases, they're not allowed. The countries don't have the infrastructure to deal with it all. Like in the Nepal, they were turning away people that should have been there, like military that could have actually come in and helped because there was too many NGOs in the country.
Really?
So it becomes ridiculous. Like I was in the tsunami in Southeast Asia. That's where this all began for me because I decided.
So you went to Afghanistan and then you came around
I
a few
did that
countries.
whole thing and did some commercials.
And then you ended up in Southeast Asia. And
well, then I decided I don't want to take money anymore to do this.
Yeah. So you had to switch and as a business decision, obviously I'm not a very good business person, but then you ended up in.
Well, I decided I met my mom's doctor who was Indian, and she was going back. She's from Mangalore, which is south of Bangalore in Karnataka state in the south of India.
Yeah.
And she was going back to do a national immunization day with the polio project. And since she knew that I was involved in television, she asked if I'd like to come. She always likes to take people with her.
Yeah.
At my own expense, obviously.
Yeah.
And I started thinking about it, and I looked into it, and I talked to some of my friends, Steve McNamee and Paul Borkwood, who I met up in the Arctic.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, guys, like, do you want to go to India? I can't pay you, but
we can get this thing.
I'll take you for free, and I'll pay for everything, and we can shoot this little documentary on this polio thing that's going on over there, right? And I just thought I always wanted to go to India.
Yeah.
And the bank does like to give you money, so Rotary was my main focus, Rotary International, because that's who she was going with, and it was going to be with the World Health Organization, the WHO.
Yeah.
There was a possibility that I could get funding from an organization when I was finished. So I said, I just said, being me, fuck it. And I went, got clearance from the bank, went, and we went to Nepal and shot up there with the UN and did some investigations around different places. We were in Kathmandu and Pokhara. And then it became that our documentary focus, we started thinking about water.
Yeah.
Right? Nepal was pretty pure. India had a lot of sewage issues, a lot of polluted water issues. So when we got down to Chennai in Tamil Nadu state, I was with the WHO doctors, and we had a few days to shoot this. Mm-hmm. And what they do is amazing because they'll have one national immunization day, or an NID. For a few days before that, they run ads on. They'll have auto rickshaws driving around with speakers and with banners. They'll have posters all over the place. Your cell phone will get messages. The radio, television, it's everywhere. Pretty much every media outlet that you can even possibly think of, any kind of communications, it's announced. And it's geared at getting children below the age of 4 to these sites.
Yeah.
They immunize 160 million people in one day.
What?
Yeah. Can you imagine that? And what they do is it's 2 drops. There's 40 drops per vial, averaging about 9 million vials that is distributed throughout India.
Holy shiza.
It has to be kept. It's kept in a freezer, I believe, at -20, and then once it's ready to be active and distributed, they keep it between.
So in a country like India, it's got to be tough.
Cold chain is very, very important.
Keep fucking shit under -20.
So the Rotary helps.
Wow.
And WHO gets
That's
together.
A lot of skrills to do that.
Oh yeah, and this is happening all over the country. So what they do is people come in with their children. They get 2 drops in the mouth, and then they get on their left baby finger, they get a purple dot put on their nail. The next day, it's called an SMO, which is a follow-up date. That's where they go into the communities, and they go door to door, and they talk to people, and if they have children, they check their fingers, and if they don't have the dot, then they get inoculized there, and on the wall or on their door, they write a P and the children, so that they know how many children were inoculated.
So what happens if your fingernail grows out too long?
Well, it's indomitable link. They only need it for a couple of days.
Oh, okay,
right? Because they do this all right. That's what I'm saying. They do
I'm
this.
kidding.
They do
I cut
160
my
million
nails.
in one day, and then they do all the communities the next day.
Wow.
So, and this is
Wow.
slums. Like you're talking people that live in huts and stuff, and
They nail everybody.
and I went out with them, and
They nail everybody.
yeah, they do. And we went to this one little fishing community along the Indian Ocean, a little place in Chennai, and I got separated from my guys. They followed the doctors, and me being the photographer, Paul was shooting video, right? He's following the doctors and stuff.
You're going for
And
the shot.
I got caught up in the people, right?
Yeah,
I'm shooting
yeah.
black and white film, and I just got caught up in the faces of these young, like, women that were maybe 15, that were mothers of 3 children, and
Yeah, like what the?
yeah, just young people.
Yeah.
It was all shanty town, right?
Yeah.
And so I look around and my people are gone,
Yeah.
and I'm lost, and nobody speaks English, right? They're not educated people. So
No.
through whatever communications we made, I'd get channeled down this path, and then finally I see, and the whole time I'm shooting people, right? Every family I meet, I'm shooting families. And so I get, oh, there they are. Okay. And I turn around, and everyone that had been helping me was there.
Oh, really?
Like, they stayed. Everybody just followed. They had to see the end. They had to see Gringo get back to his community of people.
Well, you're
right?
the live television.
Yeah. So
man.
it was just,
you're the
I got them all
entertainment.
together, and I took this picture, and it was just so cool.
That's
right?
dope.
But then the tsunami hit
Yeah. Oh, in 2004.
the same year.
Yeah.
Yeah. This was February.
In December, it was.
And I came back in November and followed my steps again.
Yeah, the
by
end. It
myself.
was like Christmas. It was like Boxing Day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it really haunted me from that point on, those pictures, because that village lost 200 children.
Oh, wow. So you were just there, like you just there, and then you left.
Well, no, that was
the year
February.
before.
It was February, but
It was the year before.
it was February. It was the
February,
same year,
so
but
then
February,
December you
and
came
December. Well, no, I was there in November, and I spent a couple of months, but I ended up being there through it.
So did you pass through there when you went through in November, or you
No.
just no?
I did. I had pretty much spent my wad of money that I didn't
Yeah.
have the first
So
time.
what
right? So I
happened
was
when
on
you
my
went
own at
down
that
in
point.
November? Like, where did you start?
I followed up with the WHO doctors and some
Yeah.
rotary stuff, but it didn't go anywhere from that point on, because the tsunami just pretty much depleted any opportunity of hope.
No, but you were in November 1st before it hit. Like, where?
I
did
was
you-
there late November until January.
And you were in
mid-January.
India, or you
I was in Thailand, India, Sri Lanka.
And where were you when it hit?
I was in southern India.
Okay.
In the Nilgiri Mountains, in
Yeah.
a little town called Massanagudi,
Yeah.
at a place called Jungle Retreat with some friends. I spent 3 weeks there, I think, in the jungle, just hanging out and walking around. And
So what happened that day? Like, what were you?
Well, when I went on that trip, when I left for 2.5 months, I knew I was going to die.
Really?
I had told, even the first trip where I got kidnapped in Africa, I told my sister, like, I'm going to get kidnapped, but don't worry, I want to go. Just so that if it happened, they could say, oh, no, he knew.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't worry about it. He's okay.
Yeah.
But then this
Premonition
one,
or
I
something.
knew something inside me said, you're not coming back. And I even said to the Christian Children's Fund client, I don't think I'm coming back from this one. And they said, you don't have to go. And I said, yeah, I do. I have to go. It's Sri Lanka. I'm going to die in Sri Lanka.
It's not a bad place to go.
But I didn't know what. And then I had this dream about destruction and this woman standing in this destruction. And I thought, that's an earthquake in my dream. But then I didn't put the two together really, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then as I flew into Sri Lanka, it all went away. The fear, not that it was fear, it was just a little bit of anxiety, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And it all just went away, because when you fly into Colombo Airport, it's just like, the Bridge on the River Kwai movie was shot there. And it's just palm trees everywhere. It's just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful beaches. And as you're flying in, you're just flying over these constant. So it just all went away. And I traveled around and just had an amazing time with the people that I was working with there, right? And I didn't have anything to do. I was there for I was in the area with no plans, like Southeast Asia, for 2.5 months. So at Christmas time, I was trying to think of something to do. And the people that I was with for Christian Children's Fund were not Christian. Right?
Ah.
They were Buddhists.
Yes.
So Christmas, they didn't have a big deal about Christmas. So the driver was I wanted to photograph the beaches on the east coast of Sri Lanka for Christmas.
Okay.
That area got hit with 50-foot waves.
Wow.
And he was going to come with me. And we went to a travel agent
So you
to
say
change my
was.
ticket.
You say was. So what happened?
Well, we went to a travel agent to change my ticket because I was supposed to leave to go back to India. And they said, sorry, but you bought a cheapy ticket, so you have to go back to India. And if you want to come back to Sri Lanka, we'd love to have you. But you got to go. They saved my life.
So that
had I done that, where I got hit with 50-foot waves.
Whoa!
I went back after it happened. I went back there, where as far as I'd gone, and I have memory of a building that's about, I think it was a 4 or 5 story building with a ship the size of the Kayama, or bigger, a fishing ship. You know the Kayama over here in the harbor.
Yeah.
That big or bigger on top of it.
Whoa!
Sitting on top.
That's like a freighter.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was a fishing freighter or a trawler sitting on top.
Whoa!
But it was that long, sitting on top of a 4 or 5 story building.
Holy!
And I have pictures
moly.
of. It looks like I've got the camera sitting on a railway, but it looks like it's just all over the place, right? And I'm actually standing 6 feet up on my tiptoes taking the picture. I'm standing where it was destruction like crazy.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
So I had before and after of it, but
yeah,
the reality of that was just like, holy. But like I said, after when you see things in Nagapattinam, I went to India, east coast of India, because the Christian Children's Fund asked me to come back and photograph for them.
Mm-hmm.
And just like the day I got there was New Year's Day. So it was a week after, and that day they had removed 1,500 bodies. So they were just, the smell, the boats were packed on top of each other, and there was bodies in each boat. So the smell, the silence was deafening.
Yeah, that's eerie.
It was just so quiet. You know, I took a picture of a clock where time stopped.
Mm-hmm.
It was just, but one thing that stood out that day was a reporter. As I walked by a building, there was a woman sitting in there screaming and hitting herself, and there was bodies in the building. And I hear in the background, "Get out of my shot!" And I look over, and there's some woman with a shawl draped over her face and a camera guy yelling, "Get out of my shot. Get out of my shot."
Really?
Yeah. And I just looked, shook my head, and gave her a high 1. Not a high 5, a high 1. A GFY banana sort of. Go fuck yourself, you pig. It was just...
Yeah, how important is your shot?
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Really? Really? So after that, it kind of took it away from me to go out there, because those faces haunted, right?
When you didn't want to do that, yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't want to get paid, but I still want to do it. So the future lends toward volunteerism, and that's where people need to start looking. You gotta get out of what is comfortable.
Oh yeah.
You gotta look inside yourself and say, is this what I want? Or do I want to see something? And if you want to see something, you got to sacrifice, right?
Yeah.
You got to sacrifice. You're not going to get handed it. You're not going to find the golden job that takes you there. You might, but you got to grow a set and roll the dice and say, you know what? I don't care, because if you make it about the money, you're going to miss things.
The fun.
You're just going to miss opportunity. You're going to take the wrong choices. You're going to go for money and not. What is your path? What do you really want to do?
Yeah.
Do you want to sleep in a car? And a lot of people go, no. But think about it. a couple of summers ago, I was lucky enough to go on tour with David Gilmore.
Yeah.
Toured Europe.
Yeah.
You were cool enough to show up and come to a night in Vienna.
So let's talk about let's get back to just how you ended up in with the polio thing.
The polio thing.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Once I was finished shooting it, I kind of walked away, but my whole focus had been, I realized that there was a lot of pollution
sorry, we went from the tsunami.
Well, actually, the polio thing, by the time the tsunami happened, I was finished with it because I did the final shoot in November, and then the tsunami happened in December.
Yeah.
Sorry, I drifted off on that.
No, it's all right.
But the whole focus when I had my friends with me shooting was that we realized that there's a lot of really thick pollution in the sense that the Coombe River was what we saw, and it was a river that was so polluted it traveled in two different directions.
Yeah.
It was blocked at the top and just before it went into the ocean, which was good but bad. And in interviewing the WHO doctors, they were saying, we have 5 NIDs, National Immunization Days, a year, but we try to really focus on April because we've noticed that the spike in polio cases is between June and August. And those are the hottest months.
Yeah, really hot.
In India.
Yeah.
And the questions I was asking the doctors, which I was trying to steer towards, was can polio live in the water? And I was getting, it's oral fecal. So it means that if someone doesn't wash their hands because in India you use your left hand to wipe, right?
Yeah.
So if you get something on your hands and then you prepare food or get it in water, it can live. The doctors assumed that, not assumed, there was 3 types of polio, P1, P2, and P3. And they could live in the water for short periods of time, 24 to 48 hours. So if you washed your hands in a bucket and then prepared food with it, it could be transmitted.
It's fucking long enough, yeah.
But we were seeing children defecating on the banks of these heavily polluted parts and then seeing people cleaning their cows. And we're down there shooting, and it's like, Paul, this is sewage, man.
Yeah,
this is just sewage. There's no water here, and I have shots of these cows that look like they're just floating heads because they're in the water, and it's just their head sticking up, and they're all bleeding, and
really,
it's just like, holy damn,
wow.
This is holy damn. Did I just say that?
Well, it's just like
we were just like, this is.
It's pretty obvious.
We started putting it together, and so I started kind of broaching it like. I said to them, like, okay, if a child has polio and defecates on the bank of a water, can someone catch it? And they went, we don't know, but potentially it could live in a water, but it's not going to, if it's a flowing river, no, it's not going to try, it's not going to be able to live that
They don't
long.
sound too sure about that.
Well, this is 2004, right? Well, no, they were pretty confident because, they are the country, like polio at that point was in Nigeria, India, Pakistan, and Afghanistan, with some cases in Niger and Egypt, right? It's not waterborne. It can survive for a short period of time in water, but not water. Now, apparently, it's common knowledge that polio lives in the water. So it's somehow mutated, probably because of the heat.
So you pointed that out to them.
Well, I ask questions and
So what happened out of that?
I walked away because that was it. There was no funding, right?
Yeah.
And then in 2014, when I started handing out some pins, the doctor said they did it.
Really?
And I said, really? And she said, yeah, they did it. They mutated and they did it.
So they got rid of polio.
Well, there's no current cases. But the thing is, the polio... This whole thing that India put up, it started in 1978.
I told you I saw an ad on the TTC.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
I don't even recollect what it was, but it said...
it was something congratulatory.
Yeah,
probably,
it was congratulatory that they eradicated the polio from that
The Rotary International is about to be at the Air Canada Centre, now the new name Scotiabank Arena. This June, last week of June.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens there. But they started on this quest with polio in 1978, I think, and they had about 5,000 cases then. And then 1995, they started this big push with the Rotary International and World Health Organization with the goal to eradicate it by 2004, 2005. At that point, there was only a couple hundred cases, mostly in the north in Uttar Pradesh and Bihar.
Yeah. And
so the Rotary really came together with the WHO, and they did amazing things to, 160 million people in a day, plus whatever the next day and the days previous.
Holy, that's tall.
And now there's no cases in Nigeria. There's no cases in India currently. They're working on Pakistan and Afghanistan. And the next thing that Rotary wants to do is measles. They want to eradicate measles, and they'll do it.
Good on them. Do it up.
It's a great organization, and they're doing great things. And
nice.
Hopefully we'll get, to be able to work with organizations like that in the future.
Yeah, well, that's coming around to what we were talking about before, is taking your skills and getting up and going up and just leaving these first world countries and leaving with your skills and your equipment, basically, and just getting up and going and doing it.
Do what's in your heart.
Well, let's lead around back to that. We jumped into it with how you got into David Gilmore, but that was...
Oh, that was luck.
That was, yeah.
that was
you got lucky with that one.
It was a dude that I knew that worked with
Rush,
VER.
Wasn't it? Or like...
No, he was someone, when it all started, when it goes back to those days where I worked in staging.
Ah.
It was a dude that I worked with at Videoscope, and he ended up working for VER, which is Video Equipment Rentals, one of the biggest... they do big shows, right?
Yeah, big ass shows.
And they needed a guy to do a long lens here in Toronto for a gig in 2016, and he didn't even know that it was David Gilmore. He just said, "Hey, buddy, how's it going? My company from LA needs a dude today or Friday. You wanna do a concert?" And I'm, sure.
Who is it?
No, he didn't even know.
Oh, he didn't
just
even know.
It's Friday, so I tell my friend, I can't come down. I'm doing in Trenton. I'm doing a gig Friday. And he says, "It's David Gilmore, man."
Jesus,
are you kidding me? It's David fucking Gilmore. I was like, all right,
fucking
then I'm
Pink
definitely
Floyd.
not coming down.
Fucking Pink Floyd, man.
Yeah, so I got 2 days of that, and the second day, the dude that I was replacing came back, so I just sat and watched the show.
Yeah,
and got paid. So I thought, okay, well, that was fun.
Yeah,
it was a fun show. I've shot lots of concerts, lots of shows.
That's a
big
check
names.
mark.
Yeah,
it's a big.
But
check
that was
mark.
fun.
Yeah,
and then I just said fuck it and fired my resume off to the LA people, and we were going long with the Raptors that year, and I was planning on spending my summer in Scotland.
Yeah, we planned to meet in Scotland. I bought a $10 ticket that I canceled. I have no remorse.
We had to keep canceling because they kept winning.
They kept winning.
Yeah, so I didn't book a ticket. And then the last game,
2016,
I think it was the last game of the Raptors, I got an email from Buddy
Gilmore and them.
No, yeah, from the VR people in LA saying, would you be interested in a 6-week tour?
I remember that because
you
just kept delaying your flight. You're just like, I'm going to wait till the Raptors are done.
Yeah, I'm not
going to
get a ticket because I'm not leaving if I'm getting paid, right?
They're going to go to the finals, which
that was the thing. I had unplugged. I was living in a van down by the river. I had no place.
Which is what we're rounding.
I was leaving.
This is what we're rounding out towards, is that
I had unplugged.
I had just
unplugged.
Unplugging.
Yeah.
And this see what happens, what brings you. And that's my scenario right now. I'm doing the exact same thing that Terry did 2 years ago to do the Gilmore thing. But I'm doing my own thing, and I'm unplugging, going to the East Coast, going to live in a van down by the river all around the East Coast. Fun. Yeah, August. It's going to be great. And I don't know, I might meet some folks down there and continue my podcast down there. And that's what it's about, right? Just fuck it.
Well, the thing is, when I ended that whole tour, I went to Scotland to hang out with my friends. I had money now, right? I paid off all my debts. And so I did this tour. We do the Pompeii film. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? I got to be part of that.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah.
And so it was like I could drop the life mic and walk away and go, I just went on fucking the tour of the world that I was told by all these people that have been touring and touring and touring. Dude, you just got the golden fucking tour.
You got the
sleeping in hotels, traveling
Charlie
on
and the
buses,
Chocolate Factory,
and then
golden
doing
ticket.
that film in Pompeii
Was the
was
greatest.
just the holy jeez.
Well, you hooked me up with the tickets in
it was just
Vienna.
amazing.
That was amazing.
And then so when I'm done, I go and I visit my friend Mo in Scotland, and rent a car, go for a drive. I'm at these standing rocks in
all
Calenage.
because. But you made your decision? You made your decision to leave the apartment.
Oh yeah.
Before
that
happened.
I was staying with a friend right next door to you.
Yeah, exactly.
At a friend's place, paying.
So the
to
moral
stay
of
there.
it is, whatever moral. There's no moral.
There is no. Well, no, there is a moral. It's like just do what you need to do. Just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it. You save
Just
more
feel
money
like
by
it.
not paying for rent.
Yeah.
When I unplug in the summer and I leave because I working for, the teams that we work for, you're off for 3 to 4 months now because
Seasonal.
they don't do preseason games here anymore. So
Seasonal, baby.
we're off. So why not explore the world? And it's cheaper to live. You want to go to India? You can live for India a long time on $1,000.
Well, I'll be going to Dominican.
In luxury.
You'll be hearing some
Exactly.
me and some characters in
Exactly.
Dominican on this podcast.
Unplug, stop paying rent, put your shit in storage. Then you realize I don't need my shit because I'm not using it anymore.
GFY, folks.
Well, live with friends. Like,
Yeah.
whatever you got to do, live with people. Fuck.
Yeah, get around. Yeah.
Get the fuck off. Put
Fuck
your phone
off.
down and fuck off.
That's the
You
key
know?
to it right
Here's
there.
a banana, go fuck yourself,
That's the moral of all
yeah,
this
the moral
thing.
of it all is here's a banana, go fuck
GFY,
yourself.
go fuck yourself, folks. Thanks a lot for coming around, Terry.
Get out.
Get out.